school friends. I was no longer around people um, that didn't want too much out of themselves. I was around people that was driven. And my high school coach, Coach Steve Smith and Alex Terry, they taught me what it was like to work hard and to stay true to myself and stay on the path. And those guys guided me to eventually, when I left high school, I believe I had almost 41 Division I scholarships, and I chose I chose the University of Illinois because of Ron Zook and the way that he sold the program in the place. He always told me it's not about the place, it's about the people. And when I got to Illinois, I felt like I was at home. I felt comfortable with the people that was around there, and they made sure that I was happy. Coming from South Florida to the cold, so I was very ecstatic and happy.
Was it? I mean, I've been down here in South Florida for 8 years, but and I'm a parent of a grad of University of Miami, and I'm a Canes fan. I mean, it seemed like back then, you know, this was post Jimmy Johnson, right? So we're talking, what are we talking, 2000 and mid 2005, 2006?
Okay, Larry Coker. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So was it hard? I mean, did you have? I mean, it seemed like you were open minded, obviously, but was it hard not to go to the University of Miami?
Oh yeah, it was tough. It was tough. But at the time when I was coming out of school, Larry Coker had just retired, and then Randy Shannon took over the helm, and they had like almost the number one recruiting class between Ja'Cory Harris, Marcus Forston, Darius Johnson, Tommy Streeter, and some guys that they had out of all over the nation. And I just chose Illinois because, like I said, man, that was the place. But University of Miami, Randy Shannon, when he was recruiting me, he had so much talent coming there, and I was like, dude, I didn't see myself fitting into that realm or that circle because I knew that for me, in order for me to stay focused, I had to get out of Miami. It was a part of my family. I'm from there. I've been there my whole life, and I wanted something different more than anything.
That's a good point that you make. There's a lot of kids today, they're going to college because of the name, not looking at the overall picture about when am I going to get some playing time or am I going to get some playing time. And a lot of kids, don't understand that, it probably is better off career-wise for you somewhere else.
Yes, agree. Fully agree. Fully agree. And getting out of your everyday environment isn't bad. For me, like I said, in Miami at that time in 2008, oh my goodness, it wasn't a good time for me. And me growing up there, it was not.
So it obviously was a good decision. I'm just pulling up your Illini awards and honors: fourth team All American, honorable mention All American, second team All Big Ten. All that is cool, but we want to know how the heck did you get on the cover of EA College? That's the coolest thing. How did that happen?
Oh no, that was something that someone created. That wasn't an actual cover of EA Sports. That was something that someone created.
Okay, all right.
We'll keep that our secret.
Yeah.
But now that we're live in 10 countries and 50 states, our secret's out.
So you're at Illinois. You're knocking it down, and in a few weeks, maybe next week, I think the upcoming draft for 2023. Take us through, you're a week or two away, like we're talking today. Back then, what's going through your mind?
Shoot, to be honest, at that time I was like, man, I just got invited to the green room. So they sent a letter to my agent saying, hey, we want Corey in the green room. We feel he'll be a first round pick. He'll be going there within the first day. And I'm telling him, like, dude, I don't know if I should go in the green room because if I go back there and I don't get picked, I mean, I've watched the draft a number of times and I've seen guys in the back room don't get picked. And I'm like, man, that has to be a crappy feeling. So for me, I was nervous. I was timid, and my agent ended up letting me know, like, hey, man, these are the teams that are interested in you. We think you're gonna go number 11 to the Houston Texans or number 14 to the St. Louis Rams because those guys was calling us so much, and they brought me in on visits. And once we get to the number 11 pick, the Houston Texans, they take J.J. Watt. 3 picks later, the St. Louis Rams takes Robert Quinn. And I'm in the back room looking at him like, dude, I told you I didn't want to come back here, man. This is going to be embarrassing, man. Oh, I'm not getting picked. I'm not getting picked. And the entire time, the San Diego Chargers never contacted us, never interviewed me throughout the whole entire process at the combine or as an individual. And these guys select me. And I'm like losing my mind because I'm like, wait, I'm happy and ecstatic. I'm picked first overall. I'm no longer nervous. But then again, I'm like, wait, California, San Diego? That's the other side of the.
Have you ever, like, did the University of Illinois ever had games out there, or was this your first time out in California?
My first time ever no, we did play. We played Fresno one time. Okay. We played Fresno my last year in California. And that flight felt like it was a eternity. It took us almost 6 hours to get there from Champaign. And I was like, oh my goodness, man, this is far. But even when the Chargers drafted me, man, it was just like, whoa, this is felt like I was on the other side of the globe. But
so life changing, right?
Yeah, life changing. Exactly. Culture shock, everything. It was different. San Diego was different, and I love it now because now I call it home.
Now, anything that you could tell a young player coming out of college that is hoping to get drafted into the NFL or be an NFL player, what would you tell them is the biggest approach for them to go through? I know it's a big difference from high school to college to pros. What is something that they can prepare themselves for to get to that level?
It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of dedication. And more than anything, you got to have the desire and the sheer want to make it in the NFL. Those 3 things that take you very far. But not only that, once you do get picked first round, or if you get drafted to a team, get comfortable there. Stay there. Don't travel back home. If you're from a city that has a lot of people, stay where you're at. Find a gym there. Get acquainted with the city. Get used to the community. Get in a community there. Spend your first 2 off seasons there, and make that home. Dedicate yourself to your craft where you're at. Get better there, and then you can go back home and travel from here and there, or figure out another city. But try to get used to where you're going to be working at for the next 3 to 4 years, because that is home, and get used to it. The same way you got used to college, you get used to the city or wherever.
That's great advice. That's good advice.
Corey, we were talking earlier, and when we're done with you, as our show continues, we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs, but we're talking about the modern day athlete and the athlete not as far back as both Pepper and I, but the Michael Jordan eras and so forth. And I don't know if you've been following the playoffs, but Zion Williamson decided not to play the playing game because he wasn't mentally ready. But then we were talking about Michael Jordan's second year where he broke his ankle, and he was doing everything to get back because his team was on the playoff. And last year we had on Randy Grimes. I don't know if you know that name, but he started Pro Athletes in Recovery. Randy played first years of Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 10 years. He was out of Baylor, and he got addicted to opioids for 20 years after, and he started Pro Athletes in Recovery. And we had John Smith, Joe Namath Center, and they just, you talk to them, and they would, in Randy's case, the way he got addicted, they used to have the combination of the jerseys of the offensive linemen to the medicine cabinet, right, to the pills, and that's how they got through it. I mean, what can you say to load management and time management? Because what we see is the athlete, it's like a car or technology. It evolves, it's bigger, better, but it just seems like they break down more. What do you have any thoughts on that? The modern day athlete and the conditioning, but it just seems like there's more injuries and there's more, I guess, safety, sensitivity, precautions.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and within my opinion, I feel as though if the modern day athlete nowadays, we have it way too easy. And that's just us as a society too. It's so different. Everybody is a bit more sensitive, and the way of doing things is a little easier. And to be honest, I don't think I would have turned down trying to help my teammates while we're in the playoffs. Um, me, I would have found a way to get out there and compete because we're going for the ultimate goal, which is the championship. So, I mean, I don't know exactly what Zion, I haven't followed the story much, but I can't speak towards him. But I know me, I would have wanted to get out there and try to win the championship more than anything, because you never know when you're going to get an opportunity to play in the playoffs again, especially in the NFL. I was in it for 10 years, only made the playoffs twice. So it's hard to get in this contest to win and take on the best thing, which is the trophy. But when it comes to injury, guys have way more medicine nowadays. They have way more technology, a whole different way of approaching training. So I don't get it and understand how guys are getting hurt, like little soft tissue things. When you have the Volt machine, you have foam rolling now, you have so many things that can help prevent you from getting hurt. You have all these therapeutic ways to keep you on the court or keep you on the field.
Is it the soft tissue or the soft brain?
I'm gonna leave that one up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say something, but I know you're a religious man, and it's Sunday, so I won't get all the way into how I exactly feel about that. But it's interesting because as we had said, athletes today, you have every rehabilitation mechanism or machine or doctors at your disposal, which years ago, and Eddie and I played back in the 70s, and we didn't have those type of things. We didn't have that type of conditioning. We didn't have that type of training. If we had an injury, you go get ice, you get an ultrasound, and you get a whirlpool, and you do the best you can to tape it up and get back out there and play. Today, guys, need 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off, reevaluations, and then it's like we're saying about Zion. Now it's a mental thing. Am I ready to go back out there and play, or do I risk getting injured again? An athletic career is not that long. If you go over 5 or 6 years, you've done great, and you've kept yourself in a situation to be able to do that. But you shouldn't want to give 100% effort within the time frame that you have, because you never know when your body's going to break down.
Yeah, 100%, and you never know when the game is going to be away from you. And I know as an athlete and as a former player, all three of us, we feel like we still can get out there and play. We feel like, hey man, give us one quarter to go dominate.
Now I know you have to go, and you got things that you need to do, but one question, and I think our audience would love to know 5 quarterbacks that you sacked.
The top 5 quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Well, just 5. You don't have to be the top 5, just 5.
Your best sacks.
My best sacks: Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tony Romo. I got with Andy Dalton, Peyton. No, I didn't sack Peyton. Ben Roethlisberger, and sacking Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Okay. He just retired, right? A year or two.
Yeah, recently.
How long's his beard, man? That guy had a beard.
Yeah, that's cool.
Roethlisberger had to be a tough guy to get down. I mean, he's what is he, about 6'4", 260, 280?
Yeah, he's a big joker, man. He's no little fry. I can tell you that much.
And your breakout year was your second year when you came behind J.J. Watt, right? Relative to defensive passes.
Yes.
Hey, I don't want to leave you without your talking about your philanthropic work and the story about your son. And you don't know this when we met briefly, but I worked at Nicholas Children's Hospital as the senior director of philanthropy, and I saw you were there in 2018, I think. I had just gotten there right in 2019, and I worked with pretty closely with Dr. Redmond Burke, who is arguably the top pediatric heart surgeon in the world. So I have some affinity to kind of the journey you went through, because I was raising money for that cause at Nicholas Children's. So can you share a couple minutes about your son and how's he doing and how that led you to the House of Pancakes Academy and stuff you're doing for the community?
Yes. So my son, when he was born with a birth defect with an ASD and VSD, heart birth defects, and he went in. The doctors, he had to get open heart surgery to patch up the holes on his heart, and he was he was fine within a couple weeks. It took him probably 2.5, 3 months to fully heal up and be okay. But through that process, I saw so many families being disturbed and couldn't afford the surgery for their kids. So that kind of bothered me, and that's why I joined the American Heart Association and trying to make sure that we get the message out to parents and families who are in need of operations for their kids or whatever the case might be, and give them that community that they're missing, because a lot of people don't know that community exists. So that was one of the things that I did. And then by me starting the House of Pancakes, it's just so for kids to be fit, stay in shape, and then also for them to get some training with a pro, But we go around the city of San Diego and we put on free events. And if out of that free event, if you like what you experience, you can sign up with us to train with us at any given time. And just pick a schedule, pick a day throughout the week.
So what we do here is we do it's called the Salt&Pepper Sports Talk Show charity event, and we do a golf tournament. And last year was a nonprofit that we raised money for first responders. How often are you back home or home in San Diego, but your birth state? How often are you here on the East Coast?
Maybe 3 or 4 times a year, not much.
All right. Well, we've got your contact number because this year we're going to combine it with a pickleball event. And
Okay.
Is the House of Pancakes Academy a nonprofit, or do you have a nonprofit, or do you just support the American Heart Association?
I have a nonprofit in the pipelines. I'm working on it right now. That normally takes about 5 to 6 months for them to send you the paperwork. Right. So I will have a nonprofit here pretty soon. But for right now, the academy is for profit because of the training with me individually to get kids better.
Well, we're going to let you go. I know it's been a trying night, but we really appreciate it. But we're going to definitely stay in contact because we might be able to, keep us updated on your nonprofit. But we'll stay in touch from today, and there might be some connections or intersecting points of supporting what we do and raise money here for.
Okay, that sounds phenomenal. I definitely will be in touch. Yes.
Well, we thank you for your time. I hope, like I said, everything works out well from last night for your family. This has been great. I can just tell from our end here on the analytics, a lot of people tuned in. So we appreciate it.
All right. And my last thing to you is 6'2", 300. You don't look 300 right now.
No, he was. I was slim as hell when I met him. I'm like, this ain't the same guy, man.
At all, man. I had to drop that weight off, man. I'm down to 255 pounds now.
Well, you look great. I mean, the pictures we saw of you and your wife, it's a beautiful family, and all the best from Salt&Pepper. And I have one last question. Your last year at the Chargers, 2018.
Yes.
A young man I coached, 10, 11 years old, Kaiser White. Do you remember Kaiser?
Yes, I do.
Great family, great kid.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah, I tried to reach out to him to get him on today to say hi to you, but he's at Arizona now.
Yes.
After playing for his hometown Eagles. But that was your last year, but it was his first year.
His first year, yep, out of West Virginia.
Yeah, I remember him. He's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah,
but
good football player. Yeah, very good football player and good person, like you said. Very good person.
All right, Corey,
thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
We'll stay in touch.
All
right, thank you, guys. Ed, let me know, guys.
I will. Thank you. That was great.
That was excellent.
Yeah,
it came through clear. Hopefully, we can get something done for him in the future with his charity or his nonprofit. I think that was great for any young football players that are looking to go from either high school to college. He's got great insight, great information. and they should look up our show and listen to what he has to say.
Hey, so Jeff Price. For those of you who don't know, Jeff Price was, I think, our second or third guest, right, last year. He's the head coach of Division II Lynn University. He's been a Division I coach. Had a rough year, but usually Lynn is up there in the I think it's called the Sunshine State.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things I actually asked them also to talk about is Nova Southeastern, who won the Division II out of Fort Lauderdale, undefeated this year. One of the handful of teams that has gone on a season undefeated and won the national championship. My alma mater being one in '86, even though my '81 team would have busted their ass. So, hey,
listen, I don't think you could have beat Syracuse JV team with the team you guys have, and that's coming from Steve Snyder.
Okay, that there you have it. And we have a live hometown segment, right? Which was planned.
Live hometown segment.
This is gonna drive some of you Potsdam people crazy coming up here. But hey, let's just go back to the NBA playoffs. I watched the Knicks. I liked their game yesterday.
Yeah, I caught the last probably 6 minutes of the game, and I think at the time the Knicks were up about 8 or 10 points, and NBA defensively, it's going to come down to the last minute or two in any game in order, in a close game, I should say, not in any game, because there's some games that are blowouts or whatever. But I'm happy that the Knicks was able to pull that out. Julius Randle, actually, I mentioned Steve Snyder. He was, Steve Snyder's neighbor in Scarsdale, New York, and he had a great first half. Second half of the season, or late in the season, he was hurt. He rested up a little bit with the ankle injury. He came back yesterday and he played very well. He got the clutch rebound in the last few seconds of the game to help them pull out the win.
Huge pickups. Of course, Jalen Brunson, but Josh Hart, huge. Two Villanova guys. I think the drama that ended the Mavs season, I think, shows you how important Jalen Brunson is. The knock on Thibodeau is that he burns out his players, but they seem to like playing for him.
Well, I think this time of year, it's it's a do or die. And we brought up the situation with FAU, how they work their asses off in practice. They go 100% all the time, and I think that helps condition you for late in the season. And I think that's what happened with the Knicks. Those guys are in better shape, better condition, better understanding of each other by playing so many minutes early on in the season.
Yeah, I know our we'll call it our hometown Miami team. They beat Atlanta to get in, right? And I'm trying to think who
they're playing Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, that's right. They got in as the 8th seed, right? And their first game is today.
Today against the Bucks.
The other game worth talking about is Golden State yesterday got beat by by Sacramento, and they were up by double digits, I think, in that game.
Yeah, Golden State has got that stigma right now that they can't win on the road, and they had Andrew Wiggins was out. I don't think everybody on Golden State is 100%. I honestly think that their biggest problem is they need a legitimate center. I don't think Draymond's doing it for them. I don't think Looney can do it for them. They need to get somebody else into that center position that is going to be a force offensively and defensively for them. Draymond does a good job defensively. Looney does a good job defensively, but we get nothing out of those guys on the offensive end. And you can't expect Curry, Thompson, and Poole to do it all.
As we wait for Jeff Price, the other thing, we because of Easter weekend, it was also Masters weekend.
Right.
So any thoughts on the Masters?
That was a great one. That was great. Unfortunately, Tiger couldn't make it through. I think the weather had a lot to do with it. The wet weather, the rain. and stiffen them up. It's like arthritis. You get that moisture in your joints, and it really affects you. And I think that affected him. But all in all, I thought it was great. There was some up and down play throughout the golf, and I was glad the young man, the amateur there, I can't remember his last name there, Bennett. I thought he did well. He represented the amateurs well.
Jeff Price is here, but real quick, just for the record, Liv had 3 players in the top 10 of the Masters. So for those of you, Bobby Novak that said, they're on the downside. There you go. All right, we're going to bring in Jeff Price, who's driving. I don't want to get him in. Coach Price. Coach Price, can you hear us?
How we doing?
Good.
Coach,
I can't.
Are you on your motorcycle?
I'm not. I would like to be, but I just drove my daughter to Miami for travel basketball practice.
Okay. Well, we don't want to be liable for any accidents here, so keep your eyes on the road.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can. Thanks for doing this. We just had a great interview with Corey Liuget, and I tried to get you on during the Final Four at the beach, and we had some technical difficulties, but you can provide a really cool perspective on the FAU season. Your team, Lynn, actually beat them 2 or 3 years ago, right? And from that standpoint to where they ended up, in the Final Four, what can you tell us about the coach, the players? Because I'm assuming you played against some of those same players, or you coached against some of those same players, right? You hear us, Coach?
Yeah, we did play. There was actually just a truly amazing story to think that, Doug School.
Yeah,
Hello?
You're breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, I was just saying FAU is a truly amazing story. Yeah, Dusty's first game actually at FAU, he played us and just happened to lose to us in his very, very first game. And just the fact he continues to play us every year, I think tells you a lot about the kind of guy he is. And almost miraculous what he's been able to do with that program and that amount of time and take a team to the Final Four is just an incredible accomplishment.
Was it obviously better players make better coaches, but is there anything else that you can pull from playing against them every year?
Well, I think the reason for this year was he just had unbelievable team chemistry, and I think when you get in the tournament and even throughout the season, you get a lot of these one and done guys. You just don't have team chemistry. People coming and going, and you can't develop anything. And he just had a special bond with his guys and their team chemistry, playing together and playing with confidence and selfless and not caring who gets the credit. And it was so evident on the court. The other thing was they were really good on both ends of the floor, which the teams that are good on both ends, they were very efficient offensively, and they could really defend, or teams that are successful, and they put it all together at the right time.
Well, Coach, you're saying keeping guys together and the chemistry and everything. With the transfer portal, players are almost like an open market. Coaches are going to players that are still with other teams, trying to get them to transfer and stuff. To me, how is that possible?
Well, it's just crazy times right now with college basketball. The landscape has just changed so much, and I think the most impressive thing, I feel like Dusty feels like he's going to be able to keep his whole team. He had two guys put their name in the draft. I think at the end of the day they'll pull back out. But it becomes now a series of NIL money and who can get the most money. That's what it's gotten to. And I think because of the support and the success they have, Dusty's going to be able to keep those guys there. both from a chemistry and financial standpoint, at least for another year, it looks like. And keep in mind, they're also changing conferences, which will be a little bit different for them. But just the fact he can keep everybody together, which I think he's going to be able to do, I think it's just a great credit to him and the program he has.
Well, there's a lot of money in Boca, so I think NIL shouldn't be a problem, to keep these guys around for another year or two.
Yeah, and again, that's what it's unfortunately what it's all become. That's why I see so many guys in the portal, because they say, well, I can go get more money here, I can get rewarded better here. And the interesting thing will be once these guys start to get NIL money, a lot of coaches are complaining that what it does to their teams, because if one player looks at player one and he gets X amount of dollars and player five gets this amount, and five says I'm as good as one, and you start getting that within your system. So I think it'll be real interesting with FAU with this NIL situation. Obviously, some guys are going to be valued more than others. How well they're able to stay together.
Coach, has the NIL affected at your school, with your team, at D2?
It hasn't yet. I'm sure at some programs it does. It's not infiltrating us much, at least in our league that I know of. I don't think it's cost us from signing kids and kids transferring. Most kids that transfer to our level, just they're D1 level players, and they want to play at another level. And unfortunately, D1 guys contact players during the year when through other people, and they wait for guys to jump in the portal. But I don't think NIL yet at our level has become a big factor. We could make it that way if we wanted to, but it's just not like that right now.
Yeah, so when I played at State University in Potsdam, I thought our SUNY conference was the best conference in the country. Since I've been down there for 8 years, I've told people the Sunshine State Conference is the best D2 conference in the country. Speak to Nova Southeastern, and then talk about your young team, about the success of the conference, and then the fact that somebody in your conference won the D2 national championship, and then what you're building out there with your young team.
Sure. We last year we chose to stay out of the portal because we were starting at Lynn, which some cutbacks for scholarships that has hurt us. But we had 9 freshmen on our roster, and I think we had probably the best two freshmen in the country at Northern Capic, 6'8", 240 kids. So we have some really good young kids.
Did he win Rookie of the Year or some award?
Norton did. He was Freshman of the Year in our conference, and again, I think our conference is the best in the country. I mean, he was a 20-10 guy as a freshman, so really, really good player. But as far as Nova goes, I mean, you're looking at a team that ran through our conference, the best conference in the country, 37-0, and their win margin in our league was 23 points, which was just unheard of, really. They were really, really good. I mean, really good. Like, they had a preseason scrimmage against FAU and didn't have RJ Sunahara, the player in our league, and I think it was a 5-point game. I mean, they were just a special team, and Coach Crutch does a great job. And they, 37-0 and ran through our league.
Yeah, that's amazing. What's next season look like for you?
I think we'll be good. We're in the portal this year. We've signed 2 D1 transfers and 1 D2 transfer, 2 grad kids to go along with our younger guys. We've got a couple more to get, but we're going to be a lot more competitive and I think get back to where we have been. But again, everybody else in our league's doing the same thing, so it'll be another tough year, but always a fun conference to coach in. And
really, the reason we wanted to get you on the show today is how's your daughter Abby doing? She was one of our guests last year. I know her freshman year they won the state title. Last year, I think, did they make it to the Final Four? Well, how's she doing?
She's doing good. They lost last year in the regional championship to Miami Country Day, who they'd beaten the year before. Then Country Day went on to win the state. Basically, whoever wins that game in the regional between Westminster and Country Day, it's usually those two who ends up winning the state championship. But they got beaten in the final. She's doing really well. She's playing travel on the Nike circuit. She's with the Miami Suns. Their first EYBL tournament is this weekend at Boo Williams up in Virginia. So I'll be headed up there later in the week. And she's doing good. Playing on the Nike top circuit in the country, and she's just a sophomore this year. So I appreciate you asking. She's doing well.
And that core is going to be juniors now. Is that Vernon Carey's daughter, Abby, Joe Girardi's daughter? Are they coming back for their junior year? Is that correct?
Lena is Girardi, Abby, and then Maddie Walhoff, the coach's daughter. Tay Carey was a senior, so she's the one senior that they lost. But they will have everybody else back, and I expect them to be very good again.
Great. Yeah, I think.
Well, Coach, good luck on the Nike tour with your daughter, and hopefully I'll see you, sometime soon at Johnny Brown's.
Let's hope so, man. I appreciate you guys having me. All right.
Hey, let me add this to you too. Now, with the price of gas, Pepper here is he's driving down to Cardinal Gibbons. It's getting costly, so you got that assistant open up. It's only a 3-mile drive from Delray to Lynn. So I'm just putting that out there.
Always on my mind. Always on my mind. I appreciate it. He's got to get a bike though.
It could be on a volunteer basis with just gas money. That's it.
No doubt. Bikes are cheap.
And I do have a 10-speed.
You got a little slower bike, and you got to work when you do that one. I don't have to work, but that's okay.
I hear you.
Coach, thanks, man. Stay safe driving.
Thank you. Guys, have a great day.
All right, Coach.
All right, let's take these off and bring our hometown segment in as we end this.
And Jeff Price is always a great guest for us. He's been a trooper for the last few years that I've been here in Florida and had the opportunity to meet him at various high school games, and at some of his daughter's games, and as I said to him at Johnny Brown's, they're having a cold beer. So, unbeknownst to me, Dale met a gentleman here that was a rival of mine for 4 years or 3 years or whatever, that showed up today. And this is going to be interesting. Okay. Go ahead, make the introduction. Well, we have Tom Marketing here. This is our hometown segment. You're from whereabouts in New York?
I grew up outside of Syracuse in Chittenango, New York, in Bridgeport, New York.
And you had a rivalry with a teammate of mine, Danny Shays.
Yeah, Danny went to a rival high school and known Danny most of my life, and went to his dad's camp up in the Albany area, Lake George, and worked there. And I've stayed in touch with Danny over the years.
And then you ended up being with Salt, my high school teammate. You guys ended up being rivals in college.
We did, unbeknownst to us until today.
Until about 30 minutes ago. Right?
Yeah. I played at St. Lawrence University, and my new friend here played at Potsdam, so we were crosstown rivals.
Now, Tom and I met at a high school game this year, and this is what fate does to you, and this is good karma, good people connecting. We met at a high school basketball game.
Yep.
And I was with Coach Fine, and Tom came over and introduced himself to us, and come to find out, we're all from the same area. We all know a lot of people together. We had a great lunch together yesterday at Deck 84 downtown Delray. And I invited Tom to come over today just to see our show, and not knowing that he would definitely show up. So this is what hometown connections do. They take care of each other, they respond to each other's needs, and here we are. And
I didn't know Chittenango. Wow, that's like you have Section 3, right?
Yeah, man.
Section 3 back in the high school
Section
days,
3
right?
Class B champions.
Right. So Potsdam and St. Lawrence, for our viewers, was a big time rivalry. 10 miles, right? Canton, Potsdam.
Yep.
The two coaches, your coach and my coach, hated each other.
Hated
right?
each other in a good way.
And your coach ended up going to Navy and then Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh,
right?
yeah.
Evans, right? Paul Evans. And then Jerry finished his tenure and then went to Iona. But I just can remember anytime we played, it was like you look at Division III today, and their attendance might be 150, 200 when we played. And I think you guys had you had a wall, but you had big bleachers.
We
right?
did.
I just remember going there every year for 4 years, and it was sold out.
Mobbed.
Packed,
Yeah, it was mobbed.
And conversely, you played with some All-Americans, George Hughes, Lonnie Weber.
Lonnie Webb.
Yeah.
Drew Scomberg.
Drew
Oh,
Scomberg,
Drew Scomberg,
yeah.
I know
Wow.
Drew. Yeah.
He played professionally.
Wow.
He played. He
Yeah.
might have been over.
He was over in England.
Yeah.
He was in England, yeah.
Drew's
Yeah,
a great
that's
guy.
right.
I've stayed
I
in touch with
remember
him. He's great.
Yeah.
He was terrific.
And Jimmy Berkman, who was my thorn in the side for 4 years there.
And Larry Regan, who was
Yeah.
our center. Unfortunately, Larry passed away last year, which is really sad. Yeah.
It's we're all at that age
I know.
where things like that are becoming more frequent, unfortunately. But to have, to meet you today, 30 minutes ago, and to start talking about things 40 plus years ago is pretty crazy.
It's pretty cool.
I like one of the things that come to, we had my roommate was Derek Rowe,
Mm-hmm.
and we had him on 2 or 3 weeks ago to talk about the real story behind our 1981 national championship season.
Yeah.
But people forget in '79. Well, actually, our freshman year, we played in St. Lawrence. Actually, my freshman and sophomore year, St. Lawrence and Potsdam went to Stony Brook to play in the regionals back then because they didn't have the conference finals on the. But the NCAA regionals were at Stony Brook when Stony Brook was a great D3 school.
Yeah.
And I remember we stayed at the same hotel one year. I was dating Sheila Evans, and these guys were giving me.
Never heard of that.
Yeah. But
there's a story there that I'm not
there's
familiar
a story
with.
there. They were giving me a hard time because they were on the same floor. But what do you remember back then about those days?
Well, the biggest disappointment is we never got out of the East in the tournament. But we had terrific teams, and my senior year, the regionals were actually in Potsdam.
Yeah.
And
Clark University.
Yeah.
No. That was Albany State, and I'm trying to think of the. Was it Staten Island?
Yeah, we ended up losing on a last-second heroic miracle shot that somebody that should never have made the shot made with the clock running out. And so that was pretty disappointing, but it happens.
Yeah. So how often do you run into former, competitors, and they're in Delray, beautiful Delray? Where go ahead, Del.
Every day's like a Saturday.
Absolutely.
I love it here. But the thing is that we're here in Delray. We've got 3 guys from upstate New York hanging out at the golf course. Beautiful sunshine outside. Tom, give us a little insight on what you're up to these days.
Sure. I've had a great career. I spent the early part of my career with Procter & Gamble and Citicorp, and then I worked for Nielsen, the television ratings company, for 27 years. And I did a variety of things domestically, and then I was president of Nielsen Canada, CEO of Nielsen Australia, New Zealand. And then I became the chief marketing officer at Office Depot for 4 years, which was interesting. And now I've been doing a lot of board of directors recently. I'm currently sitting on a board of a really interesting company called InfraGard. It's a company that was founded by the FBI 20 years ago. And it's a program where we have 80,000 members across the United States. Anybody can be a member. You have to tick 2 boxes. You have to be a U.S. citizen, and you have to pass a full-on FBI background check.
Not to cut you off.
Yeah.
These aren't the guys that are checking our taxes, is it?
No, these are not the same guys.
Okay. All right.
But once you're a member of the program, what's really cool is the FBI and DEA and Homeland, but primarily the FBI, they share non-classified information with us. And we then pass that along to our members in hopes that the information keeps the good guys one step ahead of the bad guys. and we do it on topics like cyber, ransomware, active shooters, and most recently on human trafficking, which is becoming a
very big,
really big issue.
Yeah.
So we share that information, and it's a great program. And we started out mostly in the cyber area. We had a lot of chief information officers, but now it's with the active shooter things that are going on in the country right now, which are terrible, and with the crimes particularly involving children. The information we share is much more general.
Do you, I don't know if you do any work with him, but you heard us say earlier we do a charity event, and this year we decided to have multiple charities that we'll raise money for, and we reached out. Actually, I've had a little bit of conversation with his foundation, but Tim Tebow's big on the child human trafficking.
Yep.
So I have a little bit of experience with what you're talking about there. Chittenden, I want to go back to that, man.
Well, but before we get there, you wrote a couple books.
Oh yeah.
You're in the process of trying to get a movie produced, and any of my Syracuse alumni that are in the producing business and stuff, please contact us. Tom is looking for someone to talk to about producing his movies.
Yeah, I've written a couple of books that were arguably I can write. HarperCollins published my 2 books. The biggest one was a book called "You Can't Win a Fight with Your Boss," which is a great title. But I have written 3 screenplays now that I'm in the process of shopping around Hollywood, and it's a complicated process when you're an outsider, and I'm definitely an outsider. But I was talking to Dale about it at lunch, and hoping through connections maybe I can find somebody out there who would be willing to help me.
Well, interesting enough, he'll be a guest on our show soon. My neighbor, who's Lawrence Taylor's best friend.
Oh,
and actually has been an actor, and it's a big long story, but we'll get him on, and probably LT, because they don't do anything without each other. But they're doing a movie thing now too. But I was going to make a comment. You had mentioned
Chittenden.
No. Prior to that, though, about your boss. You wrote a book. Was that also known as the wife?
It could have been.
Okay.
No, but it was.
Is that who your boss is?
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
I had fun writing the book. I wrote it kind of somewhat comedically about all the mistakes that I made during my business career. So I poked fun at myself and had some fun with it, and it ended up being kind of a bestseller and did really well. It was, like I said, it was fun.
So going back to the Potsdam, Canton days, St. Lawrence days, if the nil was in effect back then, where do you think you would have been partnering with in Canton or Potsdam? I had mentioned Sergey's for me, right? The pizza rolls.
Yeah. I don't think I would have gotten a lot of NIL activity personally.
What was the big place in Canton? I can't remember.
Well, Sergey's was a big one.
And then Market Street.
Yeah, there were a couple of bars that were famous because you could drink at 18 back then.
Oh, yeah.
The Hoot Owl.
I don't remember Canton having many Main Street bars or anything like that. I know in Potsdam. Well, I was in Potsdam a lot. I was in Canton a little bit. You know.
Well, you had to go through Canton to get to Potsdam.
Well, no, I'm talking about back in the day when we were chasing skirt.
Well, you were. I mean, let's, in all transparency, I mean, when I became a freshman at Notre Dame, I mean, you broke me into the Catholic Academy dances, Mad Dog 2020, and then the Durandies and all that. So you're right. The drinking age was 18 back then, but I don't know what age you are as a freshman in high school, but that's when it all started.
Yep.
Churning.
Oh, you were a freshman in high school. You're only 14.
Yeah, well,
Sounds about right.
So you were my mentor then when cracking me into the Mad Dog 2020.
I was able to corrupt you a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. So St. Lawrence, Potsdam, Chittenden. I'm trying to get like Section 3. Yeah, what we were Class A. What was Class B?
B.
Yeah. Okay. Who was your biggest rivalry?
James
Cooper's
DeWitt.
was Cooper's.
Now, you played James DeWitt because you played against Danny Shays a few times.
Our
right?
two coaches were best friends.
Okay.
So Danny's coach and my coach were best friends. And so we did everything with them. We did the summer leagues with them, but we never played them because they were
class
much bigger school.
We actually had Danny on. Right?
Yeah, but I was telling
Yeah.
Danny on the show.
What was his coach's name?
Duke
JD.
McGrath.
McGrath. Yeah, Coach McGrath.
Yeah. He's passed away
Yeah.
too, but he
Has
was
he really?
yeah,
Jeez.
he was fantastic. And he and my coach Phil Gordon were absolutely best friends, did everything together.
That was a man.
He's actually drive Route 5 through
Yeah.
to get to Syracuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I said, spend the 35 cents on the throughway.
Past Burning Downs, right?
Yeah, Burning Downs, absolutely. That's funny.
Really.
But we're sitting here right now, and I mean, you guys have played against each other in college and heard of each other in college, and you and I have never crossed paths until a high school game there, and then all of a sudden with lunch with Coach Fine yesterday and everything, we have a lot in common.
We do.
We have a lot of mutual friends. We're all from the same area, and here we are in Delray.
Yeah, loving it.
And I saw a comment from somebody the other day that it was 80-some degrees in Utica, and they're saying, Florida, how do you like me now? Well, if it was 80 degrees in Utica, it was close to 90 in
Yeah, it
Delray.
was hot.
So, like we said before, every day is like a Saturday. It's always sunny. We had a little rain the other day, but actually for us, it was a little north of us.
We needed the
And
rain.
we didn't get that much. And, the way the ground is, a lot of sand, it rolls off, and, we're back out there golfing.
Although they had a mess at the Fort Lauderdale airport. That was closed for a bunch of days.
Well, thank God I'm not flying out until next weekend.
You should be good.
Yeah.
The airport's open and it's functioning now, so everything's back to normal.
Well, this ended up to be a great show today.
Yeah, Tom, really appreciate you stopping by.
So much fun. It's
Hopefully, we won't name them yet. We'll wait until after, we can confirm with you that, we may have another special guest coming on.
Mhm.
That would be very interesting to our audience and that. And, through Tom and Ed, we've had a lot of great guests on. Also, don't forget, Tom has a couple books out. Tom is producing a couple of screenplays, or needs someone to help him out producing these screenplays. So any of our Newhouse friends, or anyone that's in that field or knows someone in that field, DM Ed or myself, and let's try to help Tom out and get these movies rolling.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, this was great. We had one of our better shows this year, and continue to get better. Soul and Water tastes great during the show.
Well, we have to admit, my friend Dave Hanna, who I played basketball with in England back in '82, he's here in Coral Springs, which is not far from Delray. Hilden is the water of the Queen of England. The Queen has since passed away, but it's still the water of the royal family. Mm-hmm. He has imported it to the United States. He's in most restaurants, most hotels, a lot of celebrities, a lot of pro athletes.
Big on the South
Beach,
water,
right?
big resorts,
in,
right?
In Miami, and the resorts and stuff. It's great water, and Ed and I drink it on the show every day, or every week, I should say. And sometimes we have it on the golf course when we're playing golf. So if you see it in the hotels, please, in the restaurants, please buy the Hilden water and support my friend Dave and the royal family of England. Not that the royal family needs the money, but Dave can always use the business.
And I think going forward, as we end today's show, Serge Ramos and Let's Go Golf will be giving us some new 2023 styles. So we look forward to that.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So as we end today's show, everybody have a great rest of the day. Salt out.
And pepper out.